Hi, I'm Sonia, and in this video, I want to kind of have a little bit of story time. I feel called to tell a story, a manifestation story of mine that was the beginning of me understanding manifestation. And it's a crazy story, okay? It's a story that when it happened, I had been in manifestation for a long time, but it still was just like, holy shit. Holy shit, it really opened me up to the possibilities. It still took me a long time. Yeah, I'm petting Jax. And if you hear snoring, that's Precious, my other dog, snoring. She's up here today hanging out, and she has some trachea stuff. She has short nose, so she snores. And if you hear that, that's all that is in the background, is her snoring. And this story I want to tell is actually about Precious. Precious played a huge part in me starting to understand manifestation. Now, I didn't grasp it fully until later, but it was that manifestation that once I started to understand, or more precisely, having somebody just tell me it's my thoughts. That's what's manifesting, is your thoughts. This was the experience that I went back to, and it was the first experience that I was like consciously unconscious that it was my thoughts. So I first got into manifestation in 2019 after I had a massive meltdown at work one day. I co-owned a business. I groomed dogs for 11 and a half years. Had owned the business for close to would have been close to 4 years at that point. And things just piled up, and I just lost it one day. And while I was still crying, I had remembered hearing somebody talk about EMDR therapy. And I had done therapy before because I've struggled with anxiety and depression most of my life. Yeah, like all of my life. When I went to therapy, my therapist was like, when did that start? I'm like, I don't remember a time when that wasn't a fucking thing. So I've always had that as a thing that has played a big part in my life until recently. Like, more recently, I finally feel like I have that shit under control. But it was my therapist from that experience who inadvertently got me into manifesting. She was like, well, what do you want to do? And what would make you happy? And I'm like, I have no fucking idea. And she's like, you need a vision board. I'm like, what the fuck is a vision board? And I got on YouTube and started researching vision boards. And more importantly, like, why? Why would you want a vision board? I didn't know. I had no idea. From there, I was just pulled down the rabbit hole into the law of attraction, was where I got my start in manifesting. And I didn't understand. I did not fucking understand. I had no idea what they were talking about, but the idea of it sounded really good. Like, oh, well, you know, it was, I had done all the things. Like, I thought grooming was what I wanted to do, and I got to the point where I, had my own business, and I thought I had all the things, and I was completely fucking miserable and didn't know what to do, and found manifestation, was doing therapy, didn't understand what the fuck I was doing. And then I ended up finding a coach, a law of attraction coach that I worked with for a long time. And in that time, I learned a lot of things about myself, but I did not learn a lot about manifestation. And when I finally figured out manifestation, I don't think I've ever been more pissed than I was when I realized what manifestation actually is. That it's your thoughts, which is what I had kind of originally thought, but because of the way people were explaining, you know, you just flip your thought to the opposite, and I couldn't do that. And they were telling me that, you know, it'll help your anxiety, and it shot mine through the roof. I created myself being the only person who this shit doesn't work for, which wasn't true. So this happened. When did this happen? The story I wanted to tell you guys happened in the spring of 2022. Okay, so I had been doing the law of assumption or law of attraction thing for a long time. It was in October, November of 2021 that I actually found the law of assumption. I was inspired one day to just walk away from my job, to get on TikTok and start doing tarot readings. And it lasted like a month because I was not ready for what happened when I was on TikTok. I ended up having a video go pretty viral. It got, I can't remember if it was close, it was over 200,000. I can't remember if it was 200,000 or closer to 250,000 views. And just the whole thing, I was not ready to be doing any of that shit. I just wasn't. I wanted to be, and I needed that experience. I needed to get out of that job. It was a job I had needed to get out of for a while. But what happened at that point was I found the law of assumption, and it made me start questioning the stuff that my law of attraction teacher was teaching, because their scope of possibilities was so much greater, which added to my confusion of what manifestation was. So when this happened in the spring of 2022, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know. I knew I manifested it. I knew it was a manifestation, and it didn't occur to me until later when somebody just fucking flat out was saying, it's your thoughts, change your thoughts. And that person was Sammy Ingram, who I've mentioned before. I was like, oh shit, that's how I did that. That's how that manifested earlier in the year. So what happened was Precious she was having some health issues. She is a little bit older, and I wanted to just have her checked out because I worked with dogs for so long. I know my dogs, and I know when things are like, I know I'll know when something bad is happening. I've known in the past, but she had a lump on her neck. She had some things going on. I just wanted to get her checked out. So I set the appointment, and I was starting to worry about what the vet was going to say. That was very much my go-to used to be worrying and catastrophizing everything. That's just what I did. That was honestly how I was raised. That's how my parents think. And I know that they got that from the way that their parents think. It's not their fault. This is generational shit here, okay? Jackson, stop sucking on your foot. But I was doing that, and I was just like, for some reason, Neville, the idea of Neville, from what I'd learned about the little bit I'd learned about Neville and the law of assumption on TikTok from some guy, I couldn't even tell you what his name was, honestly. But imagining the wish fulfilled kept coming to mind. And so I just started telling myself, Precious is healthy. She's going to be healthy. She's healthy. She's healthy. The way that I was worrying, I started telling myself that she was perfectly healthy and fine. Whenever it would come up, I would just think that instead. Not thinking about an outcome, not thinking about how she would be healthy, or like none of that. I was just like, no, she's fucking healthy. Thinking about the vet telling me she's healthy. So she had a lump on her neck. It was a noticeable lump. Like, you could see it when you looked at her neck, okay? So my brother came with me to take her to the vet, and Precious won't allow us to be in the room with her while the vet's looking at her. So my brother and I stayed in the car. They came and got Precious. We talked to the vet tech, told her what was going on, showed her the lump. She felt the lump. She takes Precious inside. Jimmy and I are sitting in the car talking, and in my head, I'm just like, Precious is healthy, Precious is healthy, Precious is healthy. The vet called me and is like, hey, Precious looks really good. I'm not really worried about the things you were concerned about. Everything looks fine. Like, she looks perfect. We'll get the blood work tomorrow, and I'll call you, to just be sure there's nothing there. But overall, I think she looks great. But that lump on her neck, where was it exactly? I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. How the hell do you miss it? I just looked at my brother and told the vet, I'm like, yeah, it's just like right there. You can't miss it. And the vet goes, yeah, you're gonna have to show us where it is. We can't find it. And I'm like, what? The fuck do you mean it's just gone? Like, there's no fucking way this thing is gone. What? So the vet tech brings the dog back out. Brings Precious out. I'm feeling her neck, and the vet tech's like, it's the weirdest thing. I know it was there. I felt it. I know it was there. I felt it. And I'm feeling her neck, and I can't find it. I look at my brother, and I'm like, you're gonna have to find it. And he gets like pissed and is like, what do you mean you can't find it? He comes and starts feeling the dog's neck, like, put her on the ground, maybe we'll find it. It was gone. It was fucking gone. I was like, holy shit. Like, I knew I manifested it. It was the first thing I was conscious of. I thought a certain way, and then I got the result. Not thinking like that was how it was going to happen. I literally just decided to choose that Precious was going to be healthy, that the vet was going to tell me she's healthy, and really didn't give a fuck about the rest. So my brother didn't believe it. My parents didn't believe it. Even when I at that point had gone back to dog grooming and told them about like these other dog groomers that I had worked with, like I had known them for a long time because they were the ones who owned the shop that I bought from them, and I've known them from since when did I start grooming? 2008. I've known them for a long time, and they just like brushed it off and didn't want to talk about it. That's how everybody felt about it. It was just this like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, but like explain this to me other than it's manifestation. And I know that's what it was. I know that me telling myself that is what gave me that outcome. Could I control what the outcome was? No, but I decided she was healthy, and then she was and has been ever since. That was over a year ago now. That lump is still fucking gone. So that experience stuck with me, but I didn't know how to explain it. I didn't know what I did, even though I was very consciously aware that that was what I was telling myself. It didn't occur to me that that's how all manifestations worked. And that comes from the shit I was learning from Law of Attraction, and not just the one coach I was working with. They made me feel like they have that this or something better, first of all, which I no longer believe. They have just a lot of things that make you feel out of control. Like, you can't control that, and you can't have say in that, and you can do this. Like, there's like a little thing of the things that you can do and everything else you can't do. And that was like where I was so confused. So when I found out from Sammy that it's just your thoughts, and it's all of your thoughts, there's no limits to what you're doing, I was so I was still confused because of what I had to unlearn all the shit I had learned to relearn the truth, which is your thoughts create your experience. That experience with Precious proved that to me. My thoughts create my experience. My consistent thoughts create my experience. If I'm worrying about something, that's going to create my experience. If I choose what the experience is going to be and I tell myself that every time I think about it, then that's what it's going to be. It happens over and over and over again with all kinds of things, whether it's something like Precious or ideas or telling myself I don't know. That's my big one. I mentioned that in the last video I did. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're thinking is going to be proven to you that it is true. And I didn't understand that. And I am now like really grasping like how much that is true and how much, for me, the thing that I need to work on with my manifesting abilities is to be present and catching what's happening in the present moment, because the present moment is what's going to determine what's going to happen next. You don't have control over exactly what it looks like, but you kind of do. Just like with Precious, I decided she was healthy, and then she was. And there she is making noise. Yeah. I just wanted to come and share that with you guys to show you where I kind of like that happening was a huge shifting point in my life, even though it didn't create the shift right then. But like once I really started getting into it's your thoughts, it's just your thoughts, it all starts as a thought, I went back to that experience and went, that's how I did it. I knew I manifested that lump away. I didn't understand how I did it. And it was because I just told myself that she was healthy. Not saying that the lump is gone and thinking, oh, if I take her to the vet, it'll go away. I honestly thought the vet was just going to be like, yeah, she has a fucking lump. Whatever. Or they'd be like, well, let's test it to see if it's, dangerous, or we'll just keep an eye. Like, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I just wanted to have it looked at since she was going in for some other stuff. I was a little worried about the other stuff, and then the other stuff ended up being no big deal. Because I was telling myself that she's healthy. And I have had so many other experiences since then that are the same thing. And I know that any experience that isn't the way I want it to be is just a reflection of how I'm currently thinking about it. And it works with anything that you can think about. Thank you so much for watching. Love and light.